Clap it up, ladies and gentlemen. The 4th anniversary update is finally upon us in the global side of Langrisser. Now, if you guys saw the live stream that they did in CN, then you guys might know everything that's about to be included in this video. But to those who haven't seen it yet, or just forgot about it, then I'm here to break down almost everything in this update. I hope you guys are excited as I am for all of this. So sit back and relax, grab some snacks, grab some drinks, go on and get them. The video ain't going nowhere, you can pause it. Yeah, that's right. Now first, the most exciting part about each and every update are the characters. And the first one we'll be talking about is Zerida, or her official name, Sword of Light and Shadow. If you guys don't know what she's all about, then what have you guys been doing? She is one of the most broken characters to ever exist, just like Jintoki. She's part of the protagonist, mythical, and Egbert faction. Her talent lets her ignore class disadvantages, and when entering battle, her damage dealt will be increased. At the start of the map, she will gain the Blade Spear effect, which will increase her attack by 10% and mobility by 2, and is able to revive. But when she revives, she will lose the Blade Spear effect. And I want you guys to know that she is able to revive multiple times, but for each time she revives, she restores less and less HP. When an enemy dies, that tile that they were on will place the Soul Scraps terrain effect. So when Zerida is within one ring of this, she's able to gain the Blade Spear effect. And just a reminder again that she is able to revive as long as she has this effect. You guys see this? That is stupid broken. Absolutely dummy broken. We got back-to-back OP broken characters. First we got Jintoki, and now Zerida is coming in and is like, yo, put me in the game, coach. I want that action. For her bonds, she will need Mathew for her toughness bond and Zerida for her strength bond, the regular Zerida. For her unique skills, she has a 1C skill which has a 5-turn cooldown. It can be used on her ally, the Soul Scraps, and I'm almost certain that she can even use it on herself as well. And when using it, she gives herself immunity to all debuffs and buffs her own attack by 20% for 2 turns, and is able to move 3 blocks right after to attack. My goodness, that is actually a really insane 1C skill. And the fact that she can even use it on the Soul Scraps is just nuts. Her unique 2C skill is an AoE that has a 3-turn cooldown. It has a 2-ring range that inflicts the enemy with damage dealt minus 20% and cannot act again for 2 turns. It's nice seeing the cannot act again debuff again. Then finally, her 3C. It has a 5-turn cooldown and has a passive whereas after she has taken action and has the Blade Spear effect, she will do an AoE that has a 1-ring range and heals 20% of her HP. She can use this 3C to attack an enemy, but before battle, she will dispel 5 buffs and inflict exhaust, which will make the enemy not be able to revive. That lasts for 2 turns and cannot be dispelled. Also, if she has the Blade Spear effect, then she is able to attack first with this 3C skill. You guys, I'm sure you all can already tell how insane she's gonna be. A really heavy hitter, an act again skill, and is able to revive multiple times. I think those speak for itself. Her factions are kinda decent, but she technically doesn't need it since she can buff her attack with her 1C skill. But even without a faction, and if you don't have Zerida for her strength bond, even though without the strength bond you are missing out on quite a bit of attack, she'll still hit very hard. And funny enough, Zerida can actually hard counter each other because of the 3C, which prevents them from reviving. This character is 100% a must pull, no matter where you are in the game. I'm telling you, if you guys get her, you'll be sweeping most of the content in the game, no problem. The second character we got is Girl in the Shell, but I'm gonna call her Lucretia because this is actually her, but as a fully grown adult. I know, crazy, right? And if you guys thought that Zerida was crazy, oh boy, wait until you hear about this girl right here. Nah, I'm kidding. She's actually pretty trash. And perhaps one of the worst characters to ever exist. I don't know what they were going when they were designing her. I don't know what kind of thing they were smoking on, but I don't know how they went from Zerida, who is stupid broken, and then they decided to make Lucretia. She's part of the Princess, Dark, and Egbert faction. Her talent lets her increase her damage with her HP, and after taking action, she gains Machine Learning, which will increase her int by 5% and her range by 1, which can be stacked twice. She will need Julian for her toughness bond and the Iron Blood Commander for her strength bond. For unique skills, she has this interesting 1C skill. It allows her to choose 3 skills, but they are randomized every turn, and the skill cooldown will be the same with whatever skill that you choose up to a 3-turn cooldown at max. These are the skills that she can randomly have. So let's say that you chose Fireball for the skill. Then in order to use this 1C skill again, you'll have to wait 1 turn, since Fireball is a skill that has a 1 turn cooldown before you can use it again. But with Black Hole, instead of having to wait 5 turns, it'll be 3 turns. It's a weird skill, and you do get some situational ones, but gambling for it just takes luck, and you don't really want to challenge that. Her 2C skill, it's not on Langrisser, which is the site I'm using for all this info, which is in the link by the way, and it looks like they forgot about it, so if you want to support them, feel free to check them out and support them. But it's an AoE skill that gives 2 weakening debuffs, and she can move 3 blocks afterward, and by the way, this skill does have a 5 turn cooldown. Lastly, her 3C skill, it has a passive that lets her upgrade this skill 1 time, and you can only upgrade 3 at max. And for every upgrade, the damage is increased by 5% and the cooldown is reduced by 1, but it has a max of 2 cooldowns. I know it's a lot to take in here, so bear with me on this one. She has 3 different types of upgrade that she can choose from. The first is damage upgrade. It allows her 3C attacks to be more effective against infantry, lancer, cavalry, flyers, holy, and mages, and will be able to deal fixed damage before battle. The second option is functional upgrade. After battle, you can silence the enemy, but before battle, the gain damage taken is reduced by 20% for 1 turn and cannot be buffed for 2 turns, which cannot be dispelled when using this 3C. The third option is battery upgrade. After battle, she heals her allies and can restore 50% of damage dealt as HP, and is able to heal your allies again, but only within 2 blocks, which will dispel 1 debuff. But that's not all. There is a second upgrade that you can do. For damage, you can reduce all the enemy stats for 2 turns that cannot be dispelled. The second upgrade for functional will increase the skill range by 2, but the damage dealt is reduced. Then the second upgrade for battery has her healing effects reduced by 30%, but the skill cooldown is reduced by 2. Her gimmick is interesting, but ultimately, that's what makes her so underwhelming. She's a very situational character to use, but still, even her younger version is much better. Neo Lucretia has to take her time in order to really use her full potential. In order to really use her, you really have to understand what she does, but it's not really worth it going through all that trouble. The setup on her 3C and her talent and the randomness of her 1C skill, no one wants to put up with how annoying that can be. I just don't understand how they created yet another broken character and then they came up with this character right here. We have a new SP character, which if you guys don't know, it is for SP Mathew. Yep, the main protagonist is finally getting some more love, and he does not disappoint. His SP talent lets him ignore skill cost limit, and for every ally alive, his attack and defense are increased, and after taking action, if he attacks, he can use a skill that will teleport him to the condition that he was in before, which will have a cooldown effect before he can use that again. Something that I didn't know for a very long time, this will actually refresh his attacking skill. For his unique skills, he has a 1C which is a passive. If there are 2 allies near Mathew, then his attack is increased by 8% and heals 20% of damage dealt as HP. This one I could see people use in PvE, and the way how it works was the same problem that Mathew originally had with his talent, is that you have to stand very close to your teammates. Plus he does have other skills that he can use. His 2C is an AoE that has a 5 turn cooldown. He can select up to 2 blocks near him, and this skill will have a 2 block range. It reduces the enemy attack and int and make them unable to gain any buffs for 2 turns, while also dispelling 2 buffs on the enemy, and enemies within 1 block take 30% more damage. This skill is really good, but the range on this is really terrible. But with Balanced Blade, it should be more tolerable. Do you guys remember back then when SP Mathew was first leaked? People were saying that he was gonna be garbage and stuff like that, but that was before. After some CM players did some testing when he was new, he turned out to be really good for PvP. This was due to the fact that he can counter Jintoki and Epsilon with his 2C skill, since those two really rely a lot on their buffs. His mobility is pretty good too, especially when using the mechanical soldiers and using the strike skill. And thanks to his new talent, he can actually hit really hard. PvP, he's definitely more suited for Rush because of this. But if you guys want to test him out in PvE, he'll have almost the exact playstyle that you would normally use in his regular form. There should also be a login bonus where we get an item to change Mathew's class, and I would go for the one that gives him access to his cavalry since you can get the strike skill. You can also go for his flyer one, which will give him sprint, but in my opinion, now this is just my opinion, I much prefer his strike skill for extra reach. Now moving away from the characters, we got 2 new soldiers that is coming out. The first one is a mage. It deals magic damage, and when in battle, their attack is increased. But before battle, it has a chance to give 1 random debuff. In that max upgrade, it has a 100% chance. The second soldier is an infantry. When in battle, their attack and crit rate is increased, and when forced into battle, the physical damage taken is reduced. Both of these soldiers are pretty good. If you have other techs and better soldiers to upgrade, worry about them first before you think about these 2. We also got 8 more soldiers that they revealed, but in CN they're already out, all of them. And if you guys want to know what they do, I already made videos talking about them. So if you guys are really interested in what they do, look somewhere around on my channel and find those videos. But yeah, they came out every major update. 2 new exclusive got dropped. One is for Archon. His HP and defense are increased by 5%, and when he triggers his act again, buffs on him do not lose their turn duration. If he ends his turn on water and has not dealt any damage, then he restores 20% HP. The second is for Kaguya. It gives 10% HP, and at the start of the match, she will randomly get 2 stacks of Ino, Shika, or Cho. Also, her extra range buff cannot be dispelled. And for every Ino, Shika, and Cho that she uses, her crit rate is increased. Both of these are really good, especially Kaguya. This allows her to be able to set up much faster, and I am so glad that her extra range can't be dispelled, because the funny thing when using Kaguya is that the extra range was considered a buff whenever she uses her 1C skill. And what would happen is that if she tried to attack an enemy from afar, and if the enemy is able to dispel a buff before battle, then she just does nothing. This was something that wasn't really common all that much, but it has happened to some people. We got 4 new casting skills to unlock. The first one we're going to take a look at is Brenda. Her attack increases by 5%, and when she triggers her act again from her talent, her crit rate is increased by 100% for 1 turn. The second is for Egbert. Int is increased by 5%, and after he deals damage, he has a 50% chance to deal fixed damage. Zerida and Layla is our third one. Skill damage is increased by 10%, and the transformation lasts an extra turn. Then the last one is for Landius. He's immune to passive immunity, and for every ally within 3 blocks of him, his defense is increased by 3% up to 12%. This one is really amazing for Landius to unlock, especially with his 1C that lets him revive, unless it's something that directly makes him unable to do so, like with Neo Zerida's 3C. Brenda is good to have if you guys use her, and Egbert is also not that bad as well. Zerida and Layla can be nice when it comes to their 3C, but I don't get why they have skill damage increase when they could have gotten a little bit more attack or int, or attack and int. We have our 6th component that we can get, and its name is Frig. Its name should change once it actually arrives on global, since that's the name of our 2nd component. I'll be reading all of its info on the 3rd upgrade so that it's easier for you guys to read them on the screen. Its stats looks like the opposite of Thor's. For its talent, when an ally uses an act again skill, something like aim and strike and all that, will increase the damage dealt, which can be stacked twice. Its first skill will attack an enemy, and if the component int is higher than the enemy's by 2 times, then the damage of the skill increases, then restores more energy. The second skill has a passive if an ally has not dealt any damage. If you use a skill to deal damage, then the cooldown is reduced by 1. You can use a skill to give 2 allies that have already taken action to move again, and give them Supreme Order, which will increase their damage dealt. On the 1st and 2nd upgrade, you can only choose 1 ally, and I'm pretty sure it lets your team act again. I'm not really exactly sure. Its 3rd skill is a command. For every 2 stacks of mysteries the component has, the attack and int is increased for all allies and is immune to cannot receive any buffs. You are able to summon it within 3 blocks of your team, and for every ally that triggers an act again, I'm almost certain that it's stuff like characters who can self-act again, Frig will gain 1 stack of mysteries, which can be stacked up to 30 times. It says that it leaves after 1 turn, but I don't think that's really true, since they always make it so that you're able to use all of its skills. And the way you obtain more energy is if you have not dealt any damage, and also if you kill the enemies. Also, for the effect you can get when you enchant Frig, the first one is when entering battle, the further the enemy, the less damage you take. I just guessed the last part there because it would sound awful if it lowered your damage. The second effect allows you to take less magic damage, which is very much appreciated. The third effect will reduce range damage by 100% if you're at a certain percent of HP. I'm just gonna straight up and say that I don't really like this component all that much. Granted, the damage bonus is insane and is the fastest component to use, but it's not often you'll have a majority of your team have self-act again skills. If you're using a character that doesn't have an act again skill, then the benefits that they will only get from this component is its second skill maybe if it really does let you act again, and the mystery stacks. But if you are using one, then no doubt that your character will hit very hard. As for new banners, besides the characters we already talked about, Wehttam makes his return at long last. It should work the same way when he was first released, where you have a high chance of getting a off banner, and Wehttam himself will be a low chance to get him. But if you do get an off banner, you do get 10 shards for Wehttam, but if they are at 6 stars, then you get 15 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, pretty lame that it's like that. Wehttam is a fantastic character to have, but if you have Zerida, then you don't really need him. No need to really burn out all your crystals and vouchers. You guys can if you want to, and he's still very useful. But if you have Zerida, then that should be more than enough. We also got an equipment banner which has a wish list that has weapons only all the way up to the Bone Crusher and Bloodthirsty Nail. And not only that, a character wishlist banner that only has characters up to Caroline and Kaguya. And another wishlist banner that only lets you choose characters from Langrisser 1, 2, and 3, and you can choose 2 for a better rate. The equipment banner should be available after the update, and the character wishlist banner that goes up to Caroline and Kaguya will arrive a week later if I'm not mistaken. For new content, we got the 4th anniversary login event, which does have the item to change Mathew's class on the first day. The main story chapter 26 to 30 will be available, a farmable event where you can collect materials and exchange them in for rewards, and you can also get this nice looking background. There's a lot more other stuff too, like this building where it can let you change the background music, and the statue which I only found out recently. Some other small stuff are extra daily Gate of Fates, all the Anarchy stages and the Weight of the Law stages are all open for a limited time, as well as the output increase for the floating city. They finally made a new adjustment to the AI arena where you can skip auto battle, thankfully. The last event I want to talk about is the tower defense game mode. These things aren't my favorite thing in the world, but some of you guys may like it. There are a few different stages to do, and clearing them will give you some rewards. You'll be able to get a heads up on what types of enemies you'll be facing and what they can do. At the start, you can place a few different buildings in order to protect the one in the middle, and you can heal and upgrade them to be stronger. And in order to do those, you have to spend the currency in this game mode. So you really have to plan things out and spend them wisely, but killing enemies and clearing the waves will earn you more. You can even use characters and control them to help defend, but they carry default skills and stuff like that, and there's only a few of them that they give you. Each level does different things and it only gets harder and harder. Tower defense games aren't my thing. The thing about them is that it's always more watching than playing, that in my opinion is just really boring. But I'm just glad that we got a new type of event to try out. As for new skins, we got the Echo of Light for Zerida and Lucretia. They look really cool. We got like a Gundam theme going on. It's very unique compared to skins that we got in the past. Next up, we got a music theme skin for Elwyn, Sherry, and Thxs. Elwyn is a free skin that you can get from a share event. What exactly are we sharing? It's the 4th anniversary animated video only on Facebook and Twitter, and we need a total of 244 shares. Then once we reach that, once the update is complete, it will be in your mail. So if y'all want the skin, let's go on and make it happen. To get the Sherry skin, you do need to spend a lot of crystals, like almost 40,000 crystals from what I saw in CN. The whole thing lasts for a whole month, so spend at your own discretion. The Thxs skin, I'm not really sure on how exactly we get this one. They only just promoted it, so I'm not really sure. In the skin store, we got a skin for Wehttam, and it looks really cool. And his whole official artwork, looking fire. Whoever came up with this design, I hope you got a raise because this skin looks awesome. Rosale got a new skin as well, with some other rerun skins that came with her. And then for the Macholato skin, it's for the Iron Blood Commander. Also really cool. I'm liking all the new drip these characters are getting. And there we go. That just wraps up almost everything that you need to know in this 4th anniversary update. They went absolutely hard on this one. I thought the 3rd anniversary was crazy, but this is crazier. Finally, at last, Global is getting all these content. Get ready everyone, because there's a lot to look forward to. And feel free to let me know down in the comments what you guys are excited about the most in this anniversary. For me, I'm looking forward to SP Mathew the most. I can't wait to try him out in PvP, and I'm actually planning on making a video on him, and I do got a project that I'm working on. I'm not gonna say much about it, but the only hint that I'm gonna give you guys is that I already made something like this. So yeah, be sure to look out for that if you guys are interested. But anyways though, if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.